is this thing actually worth the crap or not? Number two, what makes this unique from other Glock carbine conversions? Then we're gonna get into, knowing what I know now, would I buy this with my own money or not? Over the years, I've tested a plethora of different types of Glock carbine conversions. They all had one or two things that I just didn't really like about them. However, I think this may have solved the majority of those problems. I'm gonna be putting a parts list together for everything that we're gonna be talking about in this video. It's the first link in the description. I'll also pin that link in the comments section for you. Let's get into why the automatic transmission fluid can't regulate this. This chassis system has one special feature that no other chassis system has. Installs just like any other Glock barrel, very easily. And then once it's installed, there is a muzzle device that you can screw on if you choose, or you can just put a thread protector on it. Once that's in place, you now have a 16-inch pistol. It installs very easily. You simply slide your pistol into the chassis system, barrel end first, and it locks into place. Then you just simply push this little button right here, and that button acts as the trigger actuator. The trigger mechanism that's right here, so your trigger is up here, there is a bar that goes all the way back and actuates this piece right here to pull the trigger. So the reason that the ATF can't really regulate this is, number one, it's using a 16-inch barrel, and number two, it meets the overall length requirements. However, there is a caveat to this. As we've seen in the past with rulings, they like to say one thing one year, like in 2018 when they said that we could all shoulder braces, and then 2 years later, flip the script. After they already gave the approval for the braces, that doesn't mean that they can't change their tactics. This is not a pistol. Therefore, it doesn't use a brace, which every other Glock carbine conversion that I've ever tested used. And you get the 16-inch barrel, but it doesn't look obnoxious. It actually looks really good. But yet, this is available for pretty much any Glock that your little heart desires that's not a subcompact. It's also available for like all the way up to like the Glock 34. And it's also compatible with the large frame Glocks like the Glock 20 and Glock 21, which are 45 ACP and 10 millimeter. And so basically almost any Glock that you might have besides a Glock 26 and a Glock 43 will be compatible with this. But they took it a step further. It will also fit the Palmetto State Armory Dagger, only the compact version as of right now. It's also available for the Smith & Wesson M&Ps, both the 4-inch and the 4¼ inch. And lastly, it's also available for the Shadow Systems MR920 and DR920 as well. Don't worry, I'll be reviewing these two in the very near future, just picked them up. That's one problem that a lot of other chassis systems have had in the past, was they were only available for Glocks. But this, they seem to have solved that issue. Now, additionally, this thing is available in multiple colors. They actually sent me 2 different colors because I requested it. This one is in gray. They also make them in this tan color. They also make them in black as well as OD green. So now that you know how this works and all the nuances and stuff, let's get into what my range experience is like. And also let's talk about the manual of arms with this thing because it's a little interesting. So I installed my Gen 5 Glock 19 into here. At the range, I didn't have any functionality problems with this. I didn't have any types of malfunctions or any types of jams or things like that. Now, sometimes when you have a bullpup like this, especially like a conversion, the trigger can feel a little bit spongy. This one has an apex in it right now. And when I pull on the trigger, I do get a tiny little bit of that springiness, but I did notice as I put more rounds down range and broke it in, that springiness started going away and I could actually start feeling the apex characteristics in the trigger. Now, the manual of arms of this isn't tricky by any stretch of the imagination, but it might take a tiny little bit of getting used to. First off, you have an ambidextrous side charger right up here. It can be pulled with either side. So I like that because sometimes you don't want to take your eye off of the target. You want to be able to hold that reticle on the target and try to clear a malfunction. For magazines, there is a little button right here on the side. You simply press that, the mags drop free. You also have complete access to the slide lock, slide release right here, with the caveat being, when this is in the compressed position, you're not actually able to hit that with your thumb. And so the only other way to really get this back into battery, like if you did a reload, is to actually pull on the charging handle to release it. However, when you're in the fully extended position here, when you hit that, it works perfectly well. Now, one thing that a lot of other Glock carbine conversions didn't have that I felt was very important is some sort of manual safety. Now, when it comes to my everyday carry handguns, things like this, I don't want a manual safety. And the reason I don't want a manual safety on my handgun is my holster is my safety. It protects the trigger, loaded, I can keep it chambered and ready to go. Nothing's gonna hit that trigger. So you can simply just pull it out and go bang. Now, when it comes to something like this that you might wanna put into a backpack or maybe mount it somewhere in your truck or your car, I think some kind of manual safety is very paramount because something can easily bump these triggers and you get a negligent discharge, not even trying to, like inside your bag. This one has a nice little safety here. With the safety engaged, you cannot pull the trigger. If you press the button over here, now you're back in business, and then you can re-engage it with your thumb pretty easily. You do have to change your grip to get it, but it's really nice and it works quite well. There are accessories that you can get for these. This one, I have two little Picatinny rails if I chose to put a light on it on each side. And then this piece, which is a mag carrier / foregrip, is also additional. And what else is cool is this piece here acts as a thumb rest. And they actually do make thumb rest for this, but I don't really see the point because when you have that, it's just a nice little place for your thumb to sit, while you're shooting it. The biggest hurdle for the manual of arms for me is a quick way to adjust the stock and then doing mag changes. That just takes practice with this, but it wasn't annoying. Also, it's a very natural pointer. When you're coming up from low ready, it is right there with this nice little cheek riser that comes with it. Now at the range, although I didn't have any types of malfunctions, I did run into two issues. The first problem I had was getting this zeroed. Now my buddy Mike from Tactical Considerations and I were out at the range and he helped me get this zeroed because we were having a hard time getting this on target. And I think it has to do with the height over bore of the red dot. I was using the Holosun Ames and obviously it has a little bit of a riser already on it. And then, obviously our bore is like right here. And because of that large height over bore, we almost ran out of elevation adjustment to get it onto target, but we did manage to get enough elevation on it to get it sighted in, which was a good thing, but we almost ran out. That wasn't really a con. Just be cognitive of the red dot that you choose to put on these. The second issue I ran into was with this chassis right here. If you look right there where my index finger, you can see blue light coming through that hole. There is supposed to be a screw and a nut in there, and it backed out at the range. Now, when you receive this, it's already pre-assembled. I mean, I'm not putting these nuts in there. And I lost that bolt somewhere at the range, and it doesn't seem to really affect it, but I'm sure I could just go to their website or call Meta Tactical up and get another one sent out to me. And I'm sure that experience would be exactly the same for anyone else. But that's what it looks like without the foregrip on it. For the magazine extension, I do think the foregrip is a must-have because otherwise you get your wrist like this. So if you're like this, it's really awkward and tweaks your wrist. It's a lot more natural to be like this. And so it's a shame that this isn't included. In my opinion, it's worth the extra couple bucks to pick one of these up. If you're gonna throw a light on it, you're definitely gonna need some Picatinny mounts. The Picatinny mounts that they have are made of plastic. You could always probably put your own on there, I'm assuming, but they might not fit as nicely as the actual Meta Tactical ones. They also have a lot of other accessories, additional cheek risers if you think you need one, but I'll be honest with you, the cheek riser that comes on here is enough for me. And when you have the right height red dot on there, I don't see a purpose for a cheek riser, but then again, everyone's bodies are different and everyone's preferences are different. But aside from those two problems of the zeroing and running out of elevation, and then that one bolt coming out, which is very easily remedied, I've had zero problems with this. And so that naturally leads to the next question, which is, would I buy this with my own money, knowing what I know now? So currently, for the base kit on these, I gotta be careful on how I say prices because otherwise YouTube thinks it's an attempt to sell things. If you take 10 and multiply it by 49, that's gonna be your price, okay? Now, at first, you might think that price is a little bit high because you can get something like the Micro Roni or the new Roni Gen 3, which we will be reviewing very shortly, for about 150 or so less than that. However, my counter to that would be, if this brace rule holds up those Ronis are gonna be probably kind of useless without a brace on them, because the main purpose of anything like this is having more points of contact. Instead of holding the gun like a handgun like this, where you got 2 points of contact, you got 1 hand, 2 hand, this one has a stock, so you can shoulder it, so that's 3 points, and then your cheek, you got 4 points. It just makes you better with said platform. I'm hoping that the brace ruling doesn't hold up, but if it does, like any other type of chassis device is gonna be pretty much obsolete, except for this one. Now, the other question kind of comes down to this. I was mentioning earlier how these were measured with the stock open and, you know, with the muzzle device removed. So what if the ATF decided to change their mind and say, hey, they got to measure it with the stock collapse now? Well, I could see a very simple way to fix this. All Metatactical would have to do is come out with a new butt pad that adds a couple of inches. Then you can get your overall length measurements in the complete collapse position, no problem. But this solves all the problems that I had with all the previous ones. And because of that, I would buy this with my own money, knowing what I know now. But it really doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you guys think. Do you guys think that this thing's a win or a fail? I'd love to hear your opinions down in the comments section. If you like the kind of videos that I'm producing, I'm doing a 1 million subscriber giveaway where I'm giving away things that are very expensive. If you want to know more info about that, check this video out right here. But until next time, guys, I love you, and you guys stay sexy.